Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you won't miss any of our deep dives into the creepiest, most unsettling stories lurking just beneath the surface of childhood memories. Tonight I'm sharing a tale of nostalgia turned nightmare, of smiling mascots and hidden darkness. It might feel like a lost TV show story, but what happens when the show you watched as a kid was just the beginning? Tonight's story takes us back to the year is 1999. A simple sentence, but for our narrator it marks the beginning of a childhood innocence he couldn't keep. He discovers a strange local access TV channel broadcasting from a small town in Ontario, Canada. A channel called Caledon Local 21. And on that channel, a show called Mr. Bear's Cellar, hosted by a man in a tattered bear suit. What begins as a weird children's program soon turns into something unimaginably dark. In this video, we'll explore what the show looked like, the episodes that slip into nightmare territory, the woods behind the house, the letter, and finally the trailer of terror that the narrator nearly boarded himself. As you listen, ask yourself, if you were him, would you have answered the letter? Would you ever have turned up at that house? Because sometimes the darkest stories are the ones with no surfaces left to hide behind. Let's begin. Our narrator grew up around 1999, just a kid in senior kindergarten, spotting the date every day on the blackboard. That year marks for him a loss, first lost tooth, first airplane ride, and the silent beginning of something else too, the early loss of his childhood innocence. He remembers the day his father brought a small old television into his room, a box TV with rabbit ears, only about 20 channels. He didn't care. He was thrilled. But when he flipped through the channels one afternoon, he landed on Channel 21. The label read, Caledon Local 21. And the programming seemed for kids. Low budget, strange sets, odd hosts. He couldn't quite place what was off, but something lingered. And then he found the show, Mr. Bear's Cellar. Imagine the opening shot. The camera glitchy. The image grainy. The lighting dim. A mascot bear, giant button eyes, shining even in the low resolution. He opens the camera's view, a staircase, a dusty old door in the cellar. Why would a children's show start in a cellar? You shrug it off as low budget, the suit is moth-eaten, the bear mask too large, the voice muffled by foam. But you watch because you're 5 or 6 and this is just television. In episode 12, as he remembers, the show opens with Mr. Bear sitting at a table playing checkers. The light in the cellar is little more than an oil lamp. 2 kids come in. Cue a cheerful bear song. Hide and seek in a closet. The aesthetic, uneasy. Shadows that don't behave, corners unlit, smile of the bear slightly off in the mask. As he grows up, the memory of that show becomes a stain. What was he really watching? Time passes. The show changes. Episode 23. The camera is tipped on its side briefly. You see the bear walking up the stairs, then everything black for a moment. When the image returns upright, the bear is calm, but the child guest is upset. You hear muffled voices. Suddenly the bear's voice. Get the fuck out, you're not invited. Your younger self laughs. You're 6, it's shocking, weird. But even at that age, you sense the wrongness. The camera cuts out mid-chase. The screen flickers, then static. What you don't register as a child, that the voice in the mask isn't playful. The door you climbed up wasn't a TV set door, it's a door into the basement. The bear isn't a friend. He's something else. In August, the channel airs one episode repeatedly for days, episode 28. The entire program is Mr. Bear sitting in a chair saying, Hello, kids. Do you want to visit my cellar? If you do, please write me a letter at this address. The screen then switches to white, multicolored letters showing an address. That image stays for a while. And yes, our narrator wrote the letter. Maybe curiosity, maybe naivety. His father didn't suspect. The next week, a reply arrives, handwritten, in a large, looping, child-friendly hand. The invitation. I would love to have you in my cellar. Come to my house at address Caledon, Ontario. Did you respond? Would you go? The magic of childhood is easily twisted. The father drives the young boy to the address. It sits on the outskirts, old farmhouse style, windows boarded, sagging porch. The parent checks the address again and again, uneasy. A police officer emerges from the building. Quiet. The child asks, Is this Mr. Bear's house? The officer doesn't answer. He just mutters again. Oh, God. The word echoes. Behind that house is open field, then dense forest. The cellar door is at the back. 2 wooden doors lying flat, padlocked, abandoned. The narrator steps toward the forest alone. The air is unnaturally silent. Only a woodpecker taps in the distance. He comes to a clearing with 3 logs around a charred pit. The smell of old smoke lingers. He sees teenagers, sneering, armed with a butterfly knife, little respect for the threat he poses. They mention the storm drain. The man still lives in the large pipe, they say. We saw him with a bear mask at night. But they're kids, urban legend. Could be nothing. Yet he wonders, could the woods and the house and the show be connected? Could the charred pit be the one where the bodies were found? The oppressive dread grows. You feel it too, don't you? That moment when childhood stories stop being safe. When he's older, the narrator, now living away at university, returns home and meets his father's friend, a retired police officer. He shows him some tapes recovered by the regional police. Poor quality VHS, static, fireflies in the frame. Episode 25. Mr. Bear pours orange juice into 16 shot glasses. Then he opens a small bottle of unknown liquid and drops a single drop into each glass. Children appear, young as 4, as old as 12. One visibly bruised. The bear leads them into the cellar. The song again. Vitamin C will help you on the great journey. They drink. Silence. Episode 30. Dusk in the forest. The camera is held by Mr. Bear. He films himself, then pans to an ATV trailer with 7 motionless children. A burlap tarp is pulled back, revealing a deep hole, 12 feet at least. The children are dropped in. Then Mr. Bear points the camera at gasoline bottles. The vitamin C will surely help them, he says. Episode 31. Night in the forest. The fire pit burns. The camera moves closer to burning flesh. A hole, blackened logs, smoke rising. A suit laid in the shape of a cross. At its head, the letters INRI in bold red. The last thing you see, the suit helmet, the bear eyes empty, staring into your soul. The narrator sits in horror. He could have been the next child. That visit my cellar letter, that D-Day when his father drove him there. It could have ended differently. He realizes the show wasn't for children. It used them. Friends, let's pause for a moment. What if this story isn't purely fiction? The idea of a low-budget children's show on local access TV being used as a trap. It taps into deep fears that what we trusted as kids might have had cracks. The bear, the mask, the show, all a vehicle. There are real legends of lost children's episodes, of public access channels that aired weird programming at odd hours and vanished. The psychology is simple. Twist the safe into the unsafe. A bear mascot becomes predator. If you were the narrator, would you have written that letter? Would you have gone to that house? The show asked him to. He almost did. And if the show ended, did the man stop? The bear was never caught. The forest still stands. The pit may still be hidden among the trees. The children may still be unremembered. It leaves you with a question. Is the danger gone or just hidden? What if the forest swallowed the evidence? What if the man in the bear suit moved on, restarted somewhere else? And so we end where we began, 1999. The year that should belong to playgrounds, to homework, to childhood. But for one boy, it became the year that opened the door to the cellar of terror. When you switch on the TV next time, or browse an odd old VHS tape, remember, the screen might be just the front door, and sometimes what lies behind is far deeper and darker. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, and don't say you did if it kept you up tonight, give this video a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and share it with someone who loves being creeped out. Tell me in the comments, if you got a letter like that, would you answer it? Do you believe there are television shows out there we'll never see, but we remember glimpsing? Until next time, keep the lights on and the channel off the rabbit ears. Good night.